areas could be provisionally placed at Rs 965 per capita per month and Rs 781 per capita per month respectively. It works out to daily expenses of roughly around Rs 32 per day for urban areas and around Rs 26 per day for rural areas. It means anyone spending more than 32 rupees in urban and 26 rupees in rural India cannot be officially considered as poor.
How many people? The poverty line used to be, on the 2004-2005 basis, the old poverty line. It said 24% are poor. We revised that because we had a new committee under Suresh Tendulkar, and that said, look, I think let's define 37% as poor. Then many of my friends who worry about this aspect say, well, 37%, people just above the poverty line, they're also very, so you can make it 40%, you can make it 41%. But I don't think that you have to provide food for all of the population through a government-sponsored program. Fortunately, we are not in that position. And I think most people recognize that. How many people do you think are food insecure? I have very little hesitation in saying that 35-40% really are food insecure. If you took it a little bit higher, at the margin, who can say? But to say that more than 50% of the country is food insecure, I don't believe that. It's just factually doesn't fit in.
This, in essence, is the human face of targeting. This is a common tale among millions across India who have absolutely no voice in determining those qualifications they are required to meet. They have to be exactly as poor and hungry as the Indian government requires them to be. The proposed new benchmarks of the poverty were condemned by the Right to Food campaigners as unrealistic. Indian poverty experts agree that this poverty line itself is too low and does not represent the extent of hunger in the country.
The Prime Minister of India and the UPA government has a policy of keeping its people hungry. Has a policy of keeping its people in these conditions of penury. When you say 32 rupees a day is poor, what it means is, it tells you why. It tells you why. The people of India are without clothes, without footwear. And that is why a family sends its child to work in the factories. Because you can't survive on 32 rupees a day. You don't have a BPL card at 33 rupees a day. So you will send your child to work in the factories. You will have child labor. So it's a policy which encourages child labor. This is what this government stands for. And that is why we are frustrated in the Supreme Court. Despite our best efforts, the government is always resisting even the most elementary democratic change.
The way the Tendulkar committee was justified the consumption expenditure on education, they used a minimum ROM. They basically checked, they didn't define. They checked that can you afford education for the 5 to 14 year age group children given your at this particular level of consumption expenditure that you have. They checked, they didn't define. This was a norm that they decided this will be norm, not a socially acceptable norm. This is a norm that they came up with. You may fight on this norm and you should fight on this norm. Why should we talk only about 5 to 14 year age group? Why not 5 to 18 year age group? They looked at the median expenditure, which is basically the government school cost of education in the public schools, the government schools. Why should you do that? Why not everybody should get education which is given in the best of the private schools? Again, that can be a norm. So how do you define your norm is again varies, and there is no voting system to define what is the norm. That varies. So I mean, that's why the 32 and 26 should be treated as a different exercise. The problem happens, and that is where Planning Commission is purposely creating this impression and purposely creating this confusion, that this 32 and 26 is the minimum norms. That was never said by the Tendulkar committee, and they are also misusing these numbers, the poverty estimates. They are misusing these numbers of 42% that was in 2004-05 and 26% in the urban areas to say that we will give the food security only to these people. Now that is a grave mistake. That's something which never should be done. Even Professor Tendulkar, who would have, if he was alive, he would have been the first person to come out in public and would have simply opposed it tooth and nail. I am more disappointed by the National Advisory Council, because they were basically brought in to change this paradigm. They were basically brought in to show a new way of thinking. That is why you have a National Advisory Council. They are people who are coming from the rural areas, they are coming from the civil society, they have been experts, they have been fighting on those issues, they know the reality. Why did they accept 46% and 28%? Why did they accept the Tendulkar committee? They are the ones who have basically put these caps. So today, if the person who is, or the body who is responsible for putting the caps, it is not the Planning Commission. The food security is not being designed by the Planning Commission. Planning Commission has absolutely no role on the food security bill. It is the National Advisory Committee, and the same national, and that is the hypocrisy. The same people who are sitting in the National Advisory Committee, they come out in public and oppose this 32 and 26. But inside, when they are formulating the food security bill, they are the ones who are saying that no, you peg it at the poverty estimates. Where did you get this 46 number? Where did you get this 28 number? These are poverty estimates. They are the ones who are basically being hypocritical. They are the ones who are saying that you impose the Tendulkar committee poverty numbers, and outside coming and saying that no, we don't want the 32 and 26. That's the hypocrisy.
The Right to Food campaign has strongly opposed the replacement of public distribution system with cash transfers. The draft bill gives the government unlimited powers to provide a food security allowance in cash in lieu of PDS entitlements, so the government does not have to procure grains and it could save on the subsidy money.
This I think will be used as this is basically what the government has been meaning to do with the PDS for a long time, to stop subsidies, to stop giving food and instead to provide cash. And they are trying to bring this through the back door, through this kind of a provision, through the National Food Security Bill, and that I think is very dangerous, because cash can never take the place of food. It has been shown repeatedly, and especially if they give cash, firstly it's going to be misused. People are going to, it's not going to result in nutrition, it's going to result in all kinds of things, starting from medicine, other essentials like medicine, education, clothes, everything, in essentials like dowry for a wedding, all those kinds of things. And it's also going to, the bigger impact is going to be that if there is no food purchased for the public distribution system, the government, if it stops procurement, that will have an adverse impact on food security as well as the food situation in the country. So that bit also has to be very strongly opposed in the food security bill.
Economists have warned that the current system of setting caps on the number of below poverty line population based on the estimates of poverty by the Planning Commission is widely recognized as being deeply flawed. They blame the National Advisory Council entrusted with the task of formulating the draft proposal and say it failed to protect even minimum existing entitlements.
You are basically wasting an opportunity that was there for you. See, why do you have an act? An act is something that you are going to do a path-breaking thing, giving a constitutional thing. But if the act is simply basically renaming the BPL and APL, for that you don't have to go to the parliament. You can call it general priority, you can call it good, bad, you can call it high, low, whatever you can call it. But if the whole purpose is to use the same public distribution system, same fair price shops, same method of targeting, same method of identification, same everything, then why do you need the National Advisory Council for that? Why do you need a National Food Security Bill to be passed in the parliament? Our PDS control order is better than the National Advisory Committee's bill. And in fact, the National Advisory Committee's proposal is a retrograde step, because, and you know what they have done is they have made a mockery of themselves. Today there are 13 state governments which do not follow, and they are big ones, who do not follow these poverty estimates. They have created either a near universal or universal kind of a structure. Tamil Nadu is there, Kerala is there, Andhra is there, Chhattisgarh is there, Orissa is there. I can count on the number. These are big states with big population. I am not talking about Pondicherry or the smaller numbers. They are big ones. They have reduced the prices which are lower than the prices that the NSC is offering. They are giving to the more number of people. They are not using a targeted approach. They are making it a more universal thing. The quality of food grains is improving in those states. They have used various kind of technological measures to improve the functioning of the public distribution system. But what the NFSA has done is basically renamed the PDS control order as the National Food Security Bill. you can be definitely be more innovative and more creative than what you are proposing. The reality will be that once the food security bill is passed, no state government is going to accept it. They will be happy